Hi, I'm Lisa Spector, your piano ninja, back with another episode of the Piano Ninja Tricks podcast. So I just got done this morning playing The Man I Love, written by Gershwin, but rearranged by my Juilliard professor Earl Wild for left hand only into a Virtuoso Etude. And I played it for a private online event with thousands of people registered. So I thought what I would do is come on today and show you how I learned this several years ago when I broke my right hand, and now I'm my shoulder fractures. I found out yesterday there too. It's recovering well. I'm on target. Everything's as planned, but I'm still in the sling and then immobilizer. So I'm back to playing music for left hand only, and we learned this virtuoso etude that hopefully sounds easy but is ridiculously hard. So I'm going to take you through the different piano ninja tricks I've used to apply to this. Normally each episode applies one piano ninja trick, but in real music it's a lot of things you're adding. So I'm going to talk about that in a second. First of all, I want to tell you it is now February 1st, and it's an exciting month because I have a big excuse me, leaping masterclass coming up on February 29th, the last day of the month. Today is the first day of the month, so I will have information for you soon on that. But it is a class where I'm going to show you with demonstrations with a piece that has like 5 octave jumps, how to leap efficiently on leap day. So that is coming up. If you want to know about that early, sign up for my best free piano ninja tricks starting with fingering, because you need easy, efficient, reliable, consistent fingering to play the piano effortlessly. And so you can sign up for that at pianoninjatricks.com. So I'm going to demonstrate with this Gershwin. Much easier to take off my left piano glove for that. I'll take off my full sleeve for that also. And it starts, like most left-hand music, the melody's mostly in the thumb, but it goes, Earl Wild does a number because it changes the pattern the second time it comes through where it's not only in thumb. So let's stay with the thumb at first. So just like last episode and previous episodes, I talked about playing the melody by itself first. When you're with an ideal fingering, that would be easy to play. How ideal fingering mean? How would you want it to sound if you didn't have all the notes around it? So The Man I Love is a beautiful, simple melody. I would probably use. And so forth. So it's very easy to connect. But now I'm going to play that without all the other notes as written, but I'm going to play just the thumbs in that melody, and I am going to emulate that. I'm going to see if I can make it sound exactly the same as I did, but now it's going to be thumbs, but I still want it to sound legato. So one of the things I want to add is, how do I make it sound legato? I shape the phrases. So I'm always listening for what is the high point of the phrase, where am I going towards, what am I going away? So you'll hear in the middle, even though this is the end of the phrase, there's another phrase coming up. It's a little bit like an invisible long phrase. A little softer at the end of that phrase. So each one of those I've done several times off camera of just the melody with my thumb. It's clunky, it's awkward at first until it's not. And now I'm going to add all the other notes. And my goal is to still make it sound like that's the lead, that's the melody, and shaping that line. So I'm pleased with that, except it's too loud. I really want it to be softer the first time, and then I want to pick up the dynamics the next time it comes. So I'm going to go back and play it again. And again, I'm not beating myself up for it. It's just an observation, and now it's time to change that while I'm practicing and play it a little softer. tell you how I practice the second part of that, because now it gets into a little more complexity. So I felt pretty comfortable that the thumb sounded pretty legato and I was shaping the phrases, so I'm good with that. If I wasn't, I would just do it again. In this section, it starts to jump more, so I'm going to show you how I practiced this. So in this last part, it doesn't always sound so good because I have a cluster of notes that I normally don't play all together, but it's training my hand in quick reflex motion that I talked about way back in episode 3, and I've referred to many times in previous episodes, where I'm playing a chunk of notes, a cluster of notes, a chord of notes, and then moving quickly. So I'll do that one more time. Bum, 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 bum. Moving very quickly, so that then when I go to play it, my hand just goes there. Really not. I've like planted that in my body. And this piece is all over the keyboard for one hand. Okay, now the next section is where it gets more complex, because we have the same melody, but what happens is the melody is sometimes in the thumb, and sometimes in the fifth finger. It alternates back and forth, and it's not consistent, so the patterns change. So you'll hear the first one, it's in the thumb, and then it's in the fifth. So I'll do just what I'll do is the melody by itself with the fingering that I have to do. That's not comfortable, but I have to do if I'm playing all the other notes. And again, emulating the sound that I created at the beginning. So the reason I'm changing back and forth is because you'll see when you have all the notes together, it's the way it's written that I have to, and you'll see it. I can do it a little under tempo in this section. To that last bar because that completely broke the pattern. I'll get to that in a second. But you see how it's going back and forth. So that's how you prepare for doing all the notes. I'm just going to move this down a little bit so you can see all of my hand. Okay, so you can see more of it now. So now what I'm going to do is that last little measure. Now it's a little. So this is another place I use quick reflex motion. This all fits one hand position, so that's okay. But this doesn't. It's big jumps. So it's big. There's 4 of them. Do it one more time. I'll also add that was a little bit of my own dynamics. So Earl Wild wrote it as mezzo forte at the beginning and mezzo forte in that section. I just kind of like it softer at the beginning and then build a little more. Hopefully he doesn't mind that. So it will end that section and go into the next section. Now I have, again, the melody isn't completely in the thumbs. I think this whole, no, it's mostly in the thumbs, but you'll see sometimes it's in the 5th finger. So I'm going to do it with an ideal fingering first. I'm really conscious of shaping that phrase. So now I'm going to do it with just, not all the notes, but just the thumb or the fifth finger, whichever has the melody. So now I'm going to add all the notes under tempo. This is where the etude gets quite a bit trickier, because it's a lot of changing of patterns. So when I say changing a pattern, it's like you're open, closed constantly. Separately how I practice that little section. So I was just checking to see, you could see all of my hand. You can see just about. So I can do it one more time, just slightly faster. I'm still there's a lot of notes and it's technically challenging, but I'm still conscious of shaping that phrase. This section I originally practiced also in chunks in quick reflex motion. There's so many jumps. I'm going to go backtrack a little bit. So this next section is free form. In other words, there's no rhythm to this, just a lot of notes to get into one measure. So originally I practiced this backwards in sections. So I have give me 1 second. That's 1, 2. Yeah, so that's 2 groups, and I'm going to backtrack a little. And I'm going to go back to and then I did this more accurately when I was relearning it, but these notes are little and I don't have my glasses on, so I'm just going to play it under tempo. So I'm going to just tell you the sections. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4. And I get those by every time my hand changes position. So when I practice backwards, I don't literally go note by note backwards. I go group by group backwards. So that's why that's 2 of them. That's 3, and then I keep going back. So if I put it together, now I get to some, it gets harder and harder. So now we get to some really big jumps. So I can do this all in quick reflex motion. And I'm very conscious of the voicing, so that this is less, and then this is more. So I probably at first I would have done bottom, but the melody, really shaping it. So then I would add. So I'm just constantly using quick reflex motion. Also hear all these chords. Again, grabbing those group of notes. Excuse me. It's the first day I have my voice back after having a sore throat and cold. So now I'm going to play it for you. A little risky to do on an unedited video, but here we go. So that's how I put it all together. And then this is the Man I Love melody by, the tune by Gershwin, but rearranged by my Juilliard professor, Earl Wild, into a Virtuoso Etude. I also meant to add. So he took 7 of the Gershwin tunes. He took a lot of Gershwin tunes, including Porgy and Bess, and rearranged them into virtuoso piano pieces. But he took 7 of the Gershwin tunes and rearranged them into virtuoso etudes. When I originally learned this, I learned all 7 virtuoso etudes, and this is for 2 hands. I didn't know originally that the first one was for left hand only. So I learned that later when I didn't have use of my right hand. So hope you enjoy. Hope you enjoyed that. Look forward to seeing you next week for our podcast episode. And I thank you for taking the time to listen. I'm Lisa Spector, your Piano Ninja.